All right, welcome back to the Hubert Smith Radio Show. Once again, I'm your host, Zach Dean, joined in the studio by Senator Stacey Campfield, Holly Omby, and produced by Janelle. We are joined now by a good friend of mine, a special guest, Tim Meredith, who is the chairman of the Rutherford County Libertarians and a friend of Chris Kalbaugh. Chris is actually, I don't know, you probably are aware of the viral video, the DUI checkpoint in Murfreesboro with the MTSU student Chris, and where the cop involved there basically lost his temper, took Chris out of the car, ultimately searched, and things like that. Chris alleges his constitutional rights were violated. So we're joined by his friend Tim now, who can explain a little bit more about that. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic. So I guess we can start with just explain a little bit about Chris's situation. I know you've been talking to him some. Maybe what's the latest on that? Take it from there.
Currently, Chris' situation, I mean, he doesn't plan on pressing charges, obviously. He really doesn't want a bunch of trouble coming out of this. He really just wanted to make a point that, on July 4th, he felt like a day that we're celebrating one of our most sacred holidays in regards to liberty, that liberty shouldn't be trampled upon on that same day. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's pretty much the background behind it. And that's kind of what motivated him to do it. He's a big advocate of his constitutional rights and the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, obviously. And anytime he sees them being just outright violated, it really disturbs him.
Absolutely. I mean, especially like you said, on July 4th of all days, for something like that to happen. I know since the initial video that Chris posted, which was the video taken from inside of his car, the police department has released the dash cam video, and I actually have the story here. Sheriff breaks silence on viral DUI checkpoint video, in which it goes in to say that Ross, I guess, was the officer, basically saying he had reason to search the car in the end because they found some drug content in the car. And I know, talking to you and reading, even in the story here, it talks about how Chris did a drug test to submit to the media. And I believe, did you even tell me that he was offering to do a drug test on the spot?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you look at the full video they released, I feel like it doesn't do anything but really confirm the story that he has more. I mean, he offered to take a drug test on the spot in the video. He pretty much outright says it's impossible that he has drugs in his car because he doesn't ever do drugs. He's never done drugs at all. And for them to say that he had any kind of paraphernalia or anything in his car would be an outright lie. And the funny thing about it is, I mean, the exact spot they said that had the quote-unquote plant material was actually pointed directly at the camera before the officer removed it. And that would have been in the handle of the driver's side door, according to the officer.
Right. Yeah, no, that's what I read, and that's what it says here in the article on the driver's side.
I have one question. I mean, and just to be upfront, we all know each other. We're all mutual acquaintances, at least, I would say. Will he, since he's taken this additional flack from the dashboard cam, the police are more or less saying, calling into question and saying this is an edited video, you can't trust it, blah, blah, blah. Will he be releasing his full video of what he took with his, I guess, his cell phone?
He will, but honestly, I'm not aware of that. Me personally, I haven't seen the full video. I've been told it's just the rest of it's just dead space. The camera got covered up. So I've told there's really nothing other of interest in the video.
Oh, I mean, I've heard the police, calling on him to release the full video, release the full audio. And now maybe there may not be any video because it looked like the police knocked over the camera, put the camera face down, so couldn't videotape anymore when they realized it was there. but you could probably hear something, may be able to hear something. Is there any reason why he would not release the full video?
I think at this point, the reason he doesn't want to release it is he just really doesn't really want any more attention from it. Like I said, like I told you yesterday, he's really just overwhelmed with the response of this.
Right.
And anybody our age would be, if they just posted a video to YouTube and got, over 4 million views.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're getting calls from all over the world. You're getting messages from pretty much every media organization, and he's just really overwhelmed with it right now.
Well, don't you think? I mean, honestly, I agree it is overwhelming, but really the pendulum's starting to swing the other way because he's not releasing it. I mean, I've just sort of seen these kind of stories, and I've been on the sides of these kind of stories before. And once it started off, once you've lit the dynamite, you can't just say, well, I'm not going to do any more. You've got to throw it. And if the rest of the video is nothing that is disparaging toward him, then why wouldn't he release it? I mean, shouldn't just having been through these situations before, when they're more or less turning around and saying, hey, we found drugs, we found this, we did that, and this is, for him to say, no, that's not true is all well and good, but when he's unwilling to put up the video, it looks like he's hiding something.
I understand that's what it looks like, but I personally think just seeing the full state trooper video should be enough for anybody.
Right.
I think honestly before the state trooper video got released, that would be a valid argument. But I mean, since the full state trooper video has been released now, I can't see anything being different in the full video that would be different in the state trooper video, for example. Because the state trooper video has just about the full audio for almost the whole encounter.
Right. Well, what's really telling to me is that, if they really did find drugs in his car, why was he just let go? Because they took
exactly. And I mean, and that's the thing, is anybody who saw the encounter knows that they were pretty much just looking for a reason to arrest him. And if they had found any reason at all, he would have been in jail that night.
Absolutely.
He would have pending court trials, and that's just, the fact that everybody realizes. And the thing about the point you made about the drug test is Tennessee has on-the-spot blood test and that they can do at the DUI checkpoints. And when he says he wants to do a drug test, they had the capability to do that at DUI checkpoints.
So they could
already just for alcohol.
Right. So they could have just cleared him then. Right, or not.
Did they, when the police made their second report, I guess when they came out and said, well, we found drugs or whatever, honestly, I would think a statement like that could also be considered slanderous if it's not true. Because they are more or less saying, we found something, and if you cannot prove that you found something, well, then you've just slandered this kid's name, more or less, and I think he could say if it wasn't drugs, he could come back and sue them and say, listen, you have slandered my good name by saying that I had drugs in the car when I didn't. Does he have any intentions of doing anything moving forward to saying, there's no proof of this is a completely false accusation, you have slandered my good name, and doing anything to straighten it out?
I thought the same thing about is that them continuing to say definitively that he had drugs in the car when they didn't press charges at this point is nothing more than slander. And, of course, there's no evidence to back it up. And, that can harm his standing in the community. And but the thing is about slander cases, we all know they're very difficult to hold up in court. They have to measurably prove that his reputation was damaged. It's not something we've actually talked about. Like I don't think he's really looking for charges out of all this, but you are correct. That definitely could be considered slander.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they had said we found something we thought may have been marijuana, but they said, now correct me if I'm wrong, and I've seen his video and I've heard a little bit from what the police say on the other side. But did they say they definitively found marijuana, or they say they found a substance they thought was marijuana that may have been marijuana?
I think at first they said they think they pretty much they were kind of unclear about it, but I think since then the Sheriff Arnold himself has pretty much said the kid had marijuana shake in the car,
right.
quote unquote.
Well,
that's why the dog hit, and that's why we stopped him. And I mean, but like I told you yesterday, I mean, if you look at the video of where they actually interviewed Chris Kalbaugh himself, they actually zoom in on the spot of where he supposedly had shake, because the police officer didn't even remove it from the car. And again, I mean, this is taking his opinion, just taking his opinion, you're relying on his honesty and all. But at the end of the day, I mean, they zoomed in on what was supposedly the plant material, and all it was is just a bunch of crumpled up leaves. I mean, it was literally brown material that was not anything remotely close to looking like what any drugs I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I have, I clean out my car somewhat regular, and I've never done drug or anything like that, but I could see how someone just looking at, I don't know, grass clippings that blew in my yard when my yard was mowed and the window was down, right, or something like that. Somebody would say, aha, we found something here. But, for a police officer to say, we found marijuana, when it may have just been a grass clippings, like yard grass clippings or something like that, or something I tracked in off my feet, is two different things. Zach, do you have the official word on what they actually said?
Let's say, like, from the article that I have right in front of me, which is from the Murfreesboro Daily News Journal, it says here that Sheriff Robert Arnold said Thursday that Chris's video left out his discovery of marijuana shakings in his door handle and 2 marijuana seeds in his back seat, and that's what the article states anyway. So that's pretty specific, coming right down to how many seeds they found.
Well, that's pretty definitive as saying that's what they are also.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't say alleged seeds, right, or possible seeds,
it says marijuana seeds. Yep.
So that does, I mean, and it's in print. If you put something out in print, there's slander and libel. It depends on if it's the spoken word or the written word. And if they put out any sort of press release, that could be actionable, especially if they cannot prove it.
Right.
Well, that's one thing that we're pretty much the most disappointed with in this whole encounter is the response from the sheriff's department. I mean, their first response was to just try to delete delete posts they've had on their page since this happened, and then they got too overwhelmed for that, and they decided they just shut down their whole Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
So then they deleted their whole Facebook page. And after that, the thing that was even more outrageous is their public spokesperson came out and said, "Yeah, we've really not had that much public outrage over this. We haven't had that much public comment over this." And at the same time, they're having to delete their Facebook to keep up with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it is sort of curious.
Well, Tim, we have about a minute here left until the hour flips over. Real quick, is there anything you wanted to sum up or say? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about, you've been doing some research on the effectiveness of DUI checkpoints. Can you summarize that in about a minute?
Yeah, certainly. And that's something we've really tried to move the debate away from. Basically, I mean, it's our opinion as libertarians that there's a much more effective route to go about stopping drunk drivers. I mean, it's obviously drunk drivers are dangerous. We don't want them on our roads. But the FBI has actually done studies and used Tennessee specifically as an example and found that saturation patrols were highly more effective at identifying and stopping drunk drivers. That is just the traditional route of putting police officers on patrol in dangerous parts of town that have a lot of drunk driving going on. Basically where all the bars are at, they just double up the patrols. Right. And they get a lot more arrests. They found that Tennessee averages less than 1 DUI arrest per checkpoint on average. And that actually seems like something that held up true in this case because we only had 1 arrest out of the 250 cars that passed through. And then it completely removes the whole constitutional debate from the argument because you don't even have you have to do something wrong before you get stopped.
Yeah.
And you're not just getting stopped randomly, or like Chris here, where he never once supposedly got asked if he was drinking. Right. And all of a sudden they're doing drug searches for someone that was supposed to just be a sobriety checkpoint.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Tim, thanks for coming on and explaining that to us. I mean, hopefully Chris doesn't, I understand that it's overwhelming, but I hope he stays strong and hopefully, more good will come out of it and he won't have anything done to him in terms of more slander or things like that. So certainly. Thanks for coming on, Tim.
No problem. Thanks.
Bye. All right. Well, we are at the end of the hour now. We're going to wrap it up here and flip over the hour, and we'll be back on the other side with more Hubert Smith Radio Show. Stay tuned.
No, I never can stay.